So I'm continuing on with the topic of right or appropriate action, and the subheading of this talk is repair. So, despite our best efforts, sometimes our actions do not turn out the way we had hoped or intended. Even when our intentions are good, the impact of our actions may still cause harm. And that could mean sometimes we hurt others, but sometimes we hurt ourselves. Um, so that's an important, sometimes overlooked part of practice. What do we do after harm has occurred? And I think the best alternative usually is, not always, but usually is to make a repair. Though, of course, not everything can be repaired. There is sometimes irreparable harm. Um, and that's a difficult truth. And sometimes it just is time to part ways. And that can also be a difficult truth. So repair doesn't usually even mean undoing harm because that's often impossible. And more, I'd say, repair means acknowledging, taking responsibility, grieving, learning, or changing our behavior so that the harm is not repeated. So repair is an important concept that's often spoken about in couples therapy. When we're intimate with another person, their life inevitably impacts ours, and our life impacts theirs. There's no way I don't believe there's a way to be close to another human being and never hurt one another. It's just an inevitable part of intimacy. But if there's a strong connection, a lot of caring and love and goodwill, many of these hurts can be repaired. But that process of repair is a skill. It's something, or a practice, something we learn and practice. And it made me think about appliances and about how when I was younger, they were much more repairable. They were made better and actually made to be repaired. They're actually made the parts to repair them. And now so many of our appliances are made to be replaced. So then I started to compare it to relationships. Given the inevitability that both appliances and relationships will break down, but let's talk about relationships. Let's build them as sturdy as we can. Let's expect there to be breakdowns and hopefully be creative and about how we repair them and committed to that process of repair. So here I actually am referring to conditionality, even though I haven't used that name until now. Because of course, different repairs are needed under different conditions. Repair is going to look different at different times with different people under different circumstances. I mean, sometimes a simple apology will suffice. I'm sorry. Sometimes, for the person who feels hurt, it's enough to say, ouch. I used to suggest that when I did counseling, and to be heard and your hurt be cared about. But often repair takes much more untangling. It takes accountability. It takes listening without defensiveness, or maybe I should say with less defensiveness. And it also really takes changing behavior over time. And forgiveness, that's a big word in the Buddhist world and maybe in the spiritual world in general. But I'd say it takes quite a bit before authentic forgiveness is possible. And sometimes forgiveness isn't possible. There really is no single formula for repair. Yes, it includes intention, care, awareness, and reflection, as much of life does, to understand what is needed in this particular situation, under these particular conditions. In reflective meditation, this process of repair is closely connected to what we're doing in our practice, reflecting, remembering, and understanding our experience over time. So to put it into perhaps a little too simple of a formula, we act, then hopefully we reflect, we see the result of our actions. Hopefully we learn something in this. We learn about ourselves, we learn about others, and very importantly, begin to see the patterns, the habits, our habits, our reactivity, our blind spots, our good intentions, and those places where we cause harm despite those intentions. And hopefully over time, we might become quicker to notice when we have caused harm. Again, not that high ideal of never causing harm, but become quicker to notice when we have caused harm and being willing to take responsibility for what we did. Again, with less defensiveness, but instead more interest and understanding than in being in the right, and of course capable of making meaningful repairs, ones that work under those particular conditions and situations. So what I'm talking about, of course, is ethical development. And of course, we're not big on rules for these sorts of things, but much bigger on reflection, reflection on what happened, on our lived experience. So, if we understand conditionality, we understand that we will make mistakes. We'll hurt people. Others will hurt us. Relationships will break down at times. Repair just is part of it, part of intimacy, part of authentic relationships. And reflection is part of growth. So I guess what I'm saying is repair is a form of practice. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today's talk. And we are going to meditate. So go ahead and turn off your video. I'll do the same.